Russia's air attacks have grown in sheer volume in recent months, hammering Ukraine with more drones and high-speed missiles than ever before, as Moscow's forces struggle to make meaningful progress on the ground. The massive strikes are designed to overwhelm Ukrainian air defences, with huge waves of cheap drones, then fast-moving ballistic missiles, then cruise missiles coming in carefully planned succession to inflict maximum damage. Experts say that overwhelm approach allows more missiles to make it through.
Fans at the 2026 World Cup will not be allowed to carry reusable water bottles into venues due to safety concerns, FIFA says after a last-minute change to its stadium code of conduct. As recently as last month, FIFA had permitted empty, transparent, reusable plastic bottles up to 1 litre, 1 quart, inside stadiums. But it said on Thursday that the updated code, which came into effect from Tuesday, prohibits them.
New Delhi, India. Nandini Singh had been waiting for weeks for her high school examination results, her scores in different subjects being the pathway to the colleges of her choice. She was surprised and disappointed when she saw that her chemistry score was much lower than she had expected. Singh was torn over whether to seek a review of her answer scripts or accept the results, and the window to apply for a review lapsed.
East Africa is currently in the throes of a rapidly spreading Ebola epidemic, with governments scrambling to contain the virus and hundreds of people confirmed with the infection. The outbreak of the viral hemorrhagic fever, which has been triggered by a rare and deadly strain of Ebola, was first declared by the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on May 15 in the conflict-racked Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. The disease has since spread to neighboring Uganda, which shares border communities with eastern DRC.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said talks with the United States have made no progress, but channels of communication remain open after tensions escalated between Washington and Tehran. Araghchi also defended Iran's attacks on US allies in the Gulf as self-defense, warning that further sanctions or military action would not force Tehran to change course.
A petition has been filed in the Islamabad High Court, IHC,
challenging the Metropolitan Corporation Islamabad's MCI authority to collect a 100 fee from motorists using the service road in the New Blue area. The petition was filed by advocate Mohammed Tayyib through lawyers Zohaib Gondal, Hazrat Yuniz and Mohammed Syed Dar.
The Home Secretary, Chief Commissioner and MCI Administrator have been named as respondents.
Former Punjab Education Minister Murad Ras has sparked backlash after calling Lahore a HD bag in a post on X. Days after praising the city for being peaceful during the Eid holidays, Ras had earlier posted on May 31 that Lahore felt calmer during Eid, especially because of lighter traffic, and claimed that outsiders were responsible for ruining the city.
Asus has expanded its business laptop lineup at Computex 2026 with the ExpertBook B5 Flip G2 B546 FMA, a 14-inch convertible Windows laptop designed for professionals, educators and students who need a flexible work and learning device. Here are the details.
The Pakistan Medical and Dental Council, PMDC, has revised the schedule for the National Registration Examination, NRE Step 2, replacing dates announced in an earlier public notice issued on May 21. According to a notification issued on June 2nd, the examination will now be conducted on July 4-5 and July 11-12, 2026.
The government of Punjab has announced it will be easing austerity-related timing restrictions on cinemas, and Fahad Mustafa is really happy to hear it. The actor posted a copy of the notification issued by the provincial government to his Instagram account, thanking Chief Minister Mariam Nawaz for giving his fans the opportunity to watch his film Zombied in theatres.
Information Minister Ataullah Tarar on Thursday assured the Christian community of the government's commitment towards the protection of the rights of religious minorities, state broadcaster PTV reported. The Information Minister, along with Law Minister Azam Nazir Tarar, met a delegation of the Christian community, during which they discussed the state of minority rights and the welfare and well-being of the Christian community.
Under the shade of recently planted poplars in Afghanistan, village leader Ghulam Ali Poya is proud to see residents rediscover the value of trees after years of wartime deforestation. There were forests of pistachio trees, he told AFP, gesturing to the bare mountains that surround Shahbag's mud homes.
Dry weather is disrupting crop planting across Asia, raising concerns about food supplies in the world's most populous region, and an expected severe El Niño weather pattern could inflict more damage from India's grain-producing northwestern plains to Australia's eastern wheat belt, and from Thailand's rice field to Indonesia's vast palm oil plantations, crops and farmers to reduce planting, crops and forcing farmers to reduce planting, farmers, analysts and traders said.
Attendees of the World Cup will not be allowed to carry reusable water bottles into venues due to safety concerns, FIFA said on Thursday, following a last-minute change to its stadium code of conduct. The governing body, which had earlier permitted empty, transparent, reusable plastic bottles inside stadiums, said the updated code, effective from Tuesday, now prohibits them.
Kim Jong-un inspected a new plant that makes weapons-grade nuclear material on Wednesday and said Pyongyang plans to beef up our state's nuclear forces at an exponential rate, according to a report from state-run media. The North Korean leader said that his country has more than doubled its capacity to produce weapons-grade nuclear material in the past 5 years, and that the new plant will help strengthen its nuclear war deterrent, according to the report from the Korean Central News Agency, KCNA, according on.
The government has shared a new electricity pricing plan with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, that would substantially increase fixed charges for industrial consumers using less than their sanctioned load, particularly those shifting to solar and other off-grid power sources. The proposal, officially termed the two-part industrial tariff policy, aims to recover fixed costs and capacity payments from industrial consumers as more users migrate away from the national grid due to high electricity prices and weak economic growth.
Israel and Lebanon agreed on Wednesday to implement a ceasefire, but said it would require a complete cessation of fire by Hezbollah. According to a joint statement after US-led talks in Washington, the two sides, which do not have formal diplomatic relations, also agreed to create pilot zones in which the Lebanese control of the territory to the exclusion of all non-state actors.
Delhi Gymkhana Club was born in 1913, raised for British officers and the colonial set, and was later inherited by bureaucrats, politicians, and the comfortably connected. None of that pedigree could save it, however, from the law. Last week, India told it to vacate the land by June 5th. The government read a single clause from the club's own lease, named a public purpose, and issued the notice. The land returns to the state, as do the buildings on it. The club says it will fight the decision in court, and it may. But the order is out and the clock has started. In Pakistan, the Lahore Gymkhana was born in the same year, is grander than Delhi's, and also sits on land worth a king's ransom. No notice to vacate has been issued.
Benchmark Capital, the storied Silicon Valley VC firm known for early investments in eBay, Snap, Uber and Twitter, is breaking with one of its signature traditions, keeping its funds to about $425 million and backing only young startups. After more than 2 decades of restricting its vehicles to that amount or lower, the outfit has closed on commitments of $2 billion across 2 new funds, including a $1.25 billion vehicle dedicated to later stage investment. according to the Wall Street Journal. While the fund sizes of many venture capital firms have ballooned into billions of dollars over the last decade, Benchmark stuck to the strategy that helped make it legendary. By being staunchly selective and taking a large, typically 20% stake in every startup the firm backed, it maintained a model designed to maximize outsized returns for its limited partners.
They all look the same, and for good reason. Every budget over the past 10 years and more is pretty much the same, with minor differences, usually in the gimmickry being advanced in the name of a revenue plan. And it will be no different this time round. When the budget for FY27 is announced, there is a simple reason for this. A little more than a decade and a half ago, Pakistan finally abandoned its last attempt to try and get serious tax reform through. Since then, successive governments have been rolling out various gimmicks, from amnesty schemes to point-of-sale machines, to do something that cannot be done with gimmicks. They are trying to document the growing services sector of the economy with these gimmicks, which is like trying to measure the ocean with a teacup.
The government has postponed the announcement of the FY27 budget without offering any explanation for the decision. In the absence of an official announcement, speculation has been rife in the media about the reasons behind the delay. The most plausible explanation appears to be unresolved issues with the IMF, particularly with regard to fiscal space for relief and the transfer of some provincial resources to support federal spending. According to unnamed officials quoted in media reports, Pakistan and the IMF have yet to agree on revenue mobilization steps and the expenditure cuts required under the programme. The government is reportedly seeking room for tax relief, higher development spending and increased defence allocations, while the IMF wants continued fiscal discipline to secure a primary surplus equivalent to 2% of GDP in the next fiscal year.
Banu? Peshawar High Court bench here has directed the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government to take appropriate disciplinary action after holding an inquiry against the relevant officers of the anti-corruption establishment, AC, over abuse of authority in registering a case against a serving judicial officer, Humayun Dilawar, accusing him and his family of illegally transferring land for a housing scheme in Banu, while ordering the quashing of an FIR registered against Judge Dilawar, who had convicted former Prime Minister Imran Khan in the Toshakhana asset concealment case, and his brother Sadiq Dilawar. Justice Muhammad Tariq Afridi and Justice Sabatullah Khan directed the Provincial Chief Secretary to immediately place the judgment before the competent authority for initiation of proceedings in accordance with law against the officers concerned.
Elon Musk's rocket company SpaceX is targeting a valuation of nearly $1.7 trillion in its blockbuster initial public offering, IPO, paving the way for the largest stock market debut in history. In a filing with an exchange commission on Wednesday, SpaceX said that it plans to sell 555.6 million shares at $135 apiece, raising approximately $75 BN dollars. Islamabad. The committee constituted by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to review policies concerning the key sectors of the economy, as proposed by the Ministry of Industries and Production, lacks stakeholder representation. The committee, headed by Climate Change Minister Dr. Musaddiq Malik, has been tasked with reviewing the 4 policies, including the Next Generation Energy Storage Policy, Auto and Auto Parts Policy 2026-31, Mobile and Electronic Devices Manufacturing Policy and Solar Cells Manufacturing Policy.
KP Finance Czar says federal gov facing 1.7 fiscal hole. Muzamil Aslam claims centre in a tight spot due to coalition partners' needs. The federal government is having problems formulating the budget, owing to an around 1.7 fiscal hole, and wants the provinces, particularly Punjab and Sindh, to shoulder a greater financial burden, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's finance czar claimed on Wednesday. In November 1970, the Bola cyclone killed up to 500,000 people in East Pakistan. Yahya Khan's government introduced a 10% surcharge to fund emergency relief. Bangladesh became independent 13 months later. The affected territory was gone. The levy remained. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's government absorbed the revenue into general federal accounts in 1972. No accounting was published. In 1985, Jenzia introduced the ICRA surcharge, framed as an education fund. The revenue balanced federal operating accounts. No alternative education instrument replaced it when it was abolished under the IMF's insistence. The template was set. 50 years later, Pakistan has not deviated from this template. What began as a cyclone surcharge is now a Rs 1.55 trillion instrument misclassified as non-tax revenue. The architecture is identical, but the scale has changed. Germany's foreign minister says support for Ukraine and Israel may have cost votes after Berlin failed to secure a rotating spot on the UN Security Council. Johann Waderful described losing out to Portugal and Austria as a bitter defeat. After a vote on which countries would become one of the 5 new members of the Council was held on Wednesday evening.
Sokoto, Nigeria. Each time her curious 7-year-old child returned home from school with homework, 28-year-old Habiba Abubakar knew it was time to take him to her neighbor, whom the child called Aunt, even though they were not related by blood, who had been his savior every time he wanted to stand in front of his class and receive a standing ovation. But that changed in 2021. And Abubakar enrolled herself in the Women's Center for Continuing Education, WCCE, in Sokoto State, northwest Nigeria.
The Republican-led US House of Representatives approved a resolution on Wednesday to block President Donald Trump from continuing the war against Iran, reflecting growing concern among members of conflict. The House voted 215 to 208 as 4 Republicans voted with Democrats in favor of the War Powers Resolution, which directs Trump to withdraw US troops from Iran unless Congress declares war or authorizes the use of military force.
In a quick commerce market obsessed with speed, Indian startup First Club has convinced investors that quality may be a fresh opportunity, helping to double its valuation just 9 months after its last funding round. Bengaluru-based startup has raised $55 million in a Series B round co-led by Peak 15 Partners and Sofina, valuing the company at $255 million after the investment. That's up from $120 million raised capital in September 2025. Existing investors Accel, RTP Global, and Paramark Ventures also participated. The latest financing brings First Club's total funding to $86 million.